What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Alliance Blog Podcast, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is Jay Cal, and I've got a treat for you today. This is one that I've actually been looking forward to for quite some time. See, I'm here in Southern California, and I love Southern California independent wrestling. That's what I grew up on. I started going to shows back in 2001 with UPW and WPW and Rev Pro and AWS and all these promotions that have flourished out here in Southern California. And a name that is synonymous with all of these wrestling promotions is Lil Cholo. And I know. He's done a lot, right? He's done a lot everywhere. But in SoCal, I feel like that's where the bread was buttered, my friends. And being able to talk to Little Cholo, who is, to me, like, he is SoCal. I can't picture Southern California wrestling scene without him. So without any further, let me bring on the man, the myth, the legend, Little Cholo himself. What's up, man? How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, man?
Good. I'm so thrilled to talk to you because although I podcast about the NWA and we talk all kinds of wrestling, I always love talking about the Southern California wrestling scene the most. And you're one of the, as far as I'm concerned, one of the pillars that held up this community when I got into the Southern California wrestling scene. And what brought me to SoCal, like to watch the independent scene, was UPW, Ultimate Pro Wrestling, and your appearances there, obviously getting that opportunity to be seen by UPW, and then for me, like, I was learning about the indies through UPW, so I found WPW, I found Marin's WPW, I found Rev Pro, and all these other independent promotions out here in Southern California, and everywhere I went, you were there. Like, I couldn't get away from you, and it's a good thing that I enjoyed your wrestling because it's like you were literally everywhere. So, first and foremost, tell me about getting into to wrestling and what inspired you to get into pro wrestling.
Well, first off, thank you for that great intro. Man, it's kind of crazy to hear that, you'd be going place to place and you'd be able to see me or see my name on a lot of the cards that are around here in SoCal. It's a lot different now, this day and age, but yeah, it was crazy back then. There were so many promotions that were out here in Southern California at that time. Just we had the opportunity, and why not take it? But yeah, it's crazy, man. um it's I'm glad I was able to meet you through there. That's pretty cool. But yeah, so as far as SoCal goes, man, um long story short, I was able to meet Marin through a his son at my middle school.
Oh wow!
And yeah, I saw him wearing a wrestling shirt one day, and I asked him, "Hey, just by chance, hey, do you happen to like wrestling?" And he goes, "Yeah, my dad's a wrestler." And I was like, "Yeah, right." And I just kind of just blew him off. And
Yeah.
um, fast forward a couple weeks later, I'm at this place called the Anaheim Marketplace,
Right.
and I'm walking around and I see this sign that says "Free Lucha Libre." So I went and I grabbed a seat. I'm sitting in the front row and I'm watching these guys just, my like the very first time I'm watching wrestling live in person.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to think. It was crazy. Couple minutes into the show, like I feel a tap on my shoulder, and it was Martin's son, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Well, my dad owns this." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You want to meet him?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, I do." So um, we met, and that was pretty much it. He goes, "I hear you want to be a wrestler." And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Can you come next week and help out?" And I never left.
That's awesome, man. Did you grow up a fan? Like, obviously, you said in middle school you were, you saw a wrestling shirt and you were into it, but like, did you grow up a wrestling fan? And when did you start watching wrestling?
Yeah, since I was a little kid, earliest recollection is probably like that WrestleMania 3, like Hogan and Andre.
Yeah.
Um, that's probably like the furthest memory I've got. But like, yeah, ever since I was a little kid, I always just gravitated to it. And
That's That's really cool. Go ahead. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, you're good. But yeah. So that pretty much just that was it. It didn't take long after that. I just started training and yeah, it was crazy, crazy times.
Who inspired you when you were, training? Like who were some of the wrestlers you, I don't want to say pattern yourself after, but who did you look to for inspiration?
Um, Two that stick out a lot at the time. Uh, I guess like I kind of had like my favorite pro wrestler, and then I had like my favorite luchador.
Okay,
Um, Pro wrestler would probably be Brett at the time,
sure, of
and
course.
then luchador being Rey Mysterio.
Those are two goats, man. So no one's gonna argue with you on those. We're roughly the same age, and I mean, you grew up in Orange County, I grew up in Long Beach, so we weren't far from each other. And I remember when I was watching wrestling, like I was fiending for it, right? Like so, of course, we're watching WWF every Saturday and Sunday, and then later, Glow would show up, and usually I think you had to watch like KDOC to see Glow, and then there was like there we got cable in the late 80s, and so we started watching Jim Crockett Promotions, the NWA. And then like I loved it so much that I would go through the Spanish speaking stations, and I found Lucha Libre that way, and I was like, oh, what the hell is this? There's guys dressed up like Ninja Turtles. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with Lucha Libre right away. For you, was lucha something that you was always around you, or is that something that you had to find out for yourself?
Lucha, I found out basically like maybe just a little bit before I actually went to go see it at the marketplace.
Okay,
I had heard of it. Like I said, I didn't get to watch it on TV as much. Like, I predominantly watched WWF at the time,
yeah,
so like that was like my main focus. But it did catch my eye the times that I did see it, and then with seeing it in person that day, I was like, okay, I really got to check this out. So basically, from like '94 and on, has been nothing but lucha.
that's awesome. And you got to wrestle in front of uh, a, an audience in Mexico, Lucha Libre with AAA down in Tijuana, and then Toryumon in Mexico and Mexico City. Tell me about those experiences, because I mean, it's one thing to wrestle at the marketplace, and I'm not trying to put that down at all. But I've been to Arena Mexico and Mexico City, and that thing is freaking amazing. And
Oh yeah.
I love going to the auditorium right now. I go to, well, not now, but just the last Crash show, I was down there at the auditorium, and I've been to a lot of AAA shows down there, the Crash, Luca Libre, and it's such an amazing vibe being in front of the fan base that's there. I mean, obviously, Lucha Libre is something more than I think what American fans define wrestling as. I think it's a lot more culturally connected to those fans. So tell me what it was like wrestling in Tijuana for AAA, and then also if you could tell me about wrestling in Mexico City for Toryumon.
Lucha Libre is like, it's the way of life. It's a part of the culture over there. It's like everyday struggles. You definitely notice a difference for sure when it comes to like the reactions in the matches and stuff like that. And then yeah, it was, great opportunities. The Toryumon thing was great. I got to do a couple shows for them. I did my first ever Japanese pay-per-view there at Arena Coliseo for them, which was
Wow.
great. Um,
Was that in Mexico City as well, Arena
that
Coliseo?
was back at Arena Coliseo, yeah. It
That's a
was just a
dope
one
venue
day.
too.
Yeah. So if you get a chance to go there, please go there. Um, it was a 1 day event, and then me and Martin, we tagged up in a tag tournament that day, and we went to the finals. And it was so cool because I really thought we were gonna win the tournament, and the winners got the winners got a moped and 100-pound bag of rice. And
Wow.
and I was more excited about the 100 pounds of rice than anything.
That's how would you get that through customs?
I don't know, but it just looks so dope that you would see the moped. Yeah, you got a
Yeah.
trophy or whatever, but the 100 pounds of rice was just there, and I'm like, man, I want to win that.
Maybe that's something you could do for House of Lucha down the road is a tag team tournament that the winner gets 100 pounds of rice.
Man, that's crazy. Yeah, that.
That's
But
and I don't mean to step on what you were saying, but like Arena Coliso, like both Arena Mexico and Arena Coliso are for anyone who loves Lucha Libre, they're bucket list items because it's like the heart and soul of Lucha Libre in Mexico City, both being the home for CMLL shows. But
it's
like
like it's almost like if they compare Arena Mexico to like Madison Square Garden, you
right,
know, and then I would consider Arena Coliseo like the Honda Center, for me,
it for me it was like the Grand Olympic, right back in the
or
day,
that, yeah, that too,
because
yes.
like where it was at, like you would never know that there was Lucha Libre happening there. You just kind of you're going down the block, and the next thing you know, there's this arena right in the middle of a suburb.
I had no when I got there too. They're like Arena Mexico's right there, and I was like, where?
Yeah,
You can't tell. You can't tell.
and but when you get inside, man, and then even leaving the show too, it always feels like there's like a party going on outside.
It
You
is
know, the
one of my
vendors.
students. One of my students recently went. Um, he is a flight attendant and he has this opportunity to go all over the world. And I told him, hey, you're going to be in Mexico City. Go check out Arena Mexico. And he went and he just missed the show by a little bit.
Oh
And but he was able to party right after outside.
yeah.
And he sent me videos and it's a great time.
What so I like, not that this is about me, it's about you, but I just want to share with you. I went to Mexico City because the NWA was doing an event with AAA Lucha Libre, and Tyrus was defending the 10 pounds of gold against Daga, and it was all part of a concert that they were doing down there with the Smashing Pumpkins. All that's really cool. I blew the last part of the concert off to go to Arena Colisol. So I didn't. I went down there and I told people I want to see the Smashing Pumpkins. I didn't even see the Pumpkins. I went and watched Lucha Libre, and I think I made the right decision. And and that was so cool. And then I got to see Rocky Romero in Arena Mexico, which was kind of cool for me because like you, he's another guy that my independent lucha libre wrestling days were based on watching guys like you, B-Boy, Ricky Reyes, Rocky Romero, TJ Perkins. And so being able to see him in Arena Mexico, it's like you said, it's like the Madison Square Garden of lucha libre. Like
For sure.
I got to see one of my guys at the arena, which was pretty dope.
That's but I even till now, like I'll text TJ sometimes when I see him in Arena Mexico. And when he goes out there, like I think TJP is one of the best wrestlers in the world. Um, I he goes out there and every time he goes there, he turns it up just a little bit more. And I'm just like, how do you do it, man? Like he's just so good. But I think everybody who has the opportunity to go there, they would turn it up the same way.
I agree, and again, it's such a great venue to be in. But Arena Coliseum was so cool too, and again the roots, right? Like to me, like wrestling history is it's almost as cool as the wrestling itself, and to think that you were in that same venue where so many lucha libre legends have wrestled. And the same thing with in the auditorium in Tijuana. Like I got to go backstage at the last show. I had a buddy who let me in, and being able to walk down that hallway, and it's like, dude, you know how many lucha legends have walked down here? And I mean, El Hijo de Santo, Blue Demon Jr., Rey Mysterio, El Hijo de Rey Mysterio, and we could just keep going on and on and on. Pedro Aguayo Jr., Dr. Wagner, in all these lucha icons, and you got to wrestle in that same building, man, and that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, it's been a blessing. I've just been very fortunate. Um, they say hard work pays off, and little by little, just chipping away, chipping away. I got the opportunity to go, and I went in as a manager at the time, because they thought because of my size and stuff, I've gained a lot of weight over the years. I'm a lot heavier now, but when I first started there in Mexico, like I was weighing like 115 pounds,
Wow.
so and that was soaking wet. So I looked a lot different then, but they didn't believe that I could actually wrestle. So they would allow me to come out and be a manager and kind of, interrupt things at
Yeah.
certain times. But they didn't want to let me wrestle until one day somebody didn't show up, and they're like, just throw the kid in there, see what he's got, and I got invited back ever since.
That's really cool, man. And it's funny from going from the Anaheim marketplace to these places. I think it's so cool. And again, the Anaheim marketplace is a great place to watch Lucha Libre. You get yourself a jacket, maybe get something to eat, and then check out
Can't forget the
wrestling.
Chinese. Can't forget the Chinese food or the pizza.
That's right. I have a buddy of mine when we go to TJ, he always talks about the Chinese food. I'm like, I can't go to that Hong Kong place, man. I can't do that, brother. I'm a
Oh, he's
married
talking
man.
about the he's talking about that weird, not that weird, but the other Chinese place.
He is. Uh, so let's get back to SoCal because again, you've had so many historic moments out here in Southern California. I think, if people only know you from Lucha Libre, which is amazing, I think it's kind of cool that, working through AWS, you were able to wrestle, Adam Pearce for the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. And that's a title belt that I hold in high regard. I mean, I literally have it sitting on my desk right here. It's a title that definitely has meaning if the right person holds it. And I feel like when Pierce was world
Actually,
champion,
I beat him. I actually beat him for it and held it for 5 minutes. So if that counts, that was like one of my biggest accomplishments.
I'm petitioning to get your name on the list. Then what the hell?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Uh, but wrestling at Frankensons back in the day with AWS. Yeah, I don't feel like well, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I don't know how people really feel about Bart these days, but I really feel like he was an influential wrestling promoter in the area because not only did he bring like the idea of tape trading and make it a marketplace for wrestling, but also provided a place for guys to work. I mean, we wouldn't have seen a lot of East Coast talent had it not been for AWS at the time. And you were a central part of that. You were the AWS champion for a short time. Tell me about working with AWS and those days in your career.
That was cool, man. I was the first AWS Grand Slam champion. I won all the titles there,
That's
which
dope.
was great accomplishment. Yeah, getting the opportunity to wrestle not only our guys here in Southern California, but getting these opportunities to wrestle guys from the East Coast and Mexico or for wherever he brought them from. It was great. It was because of AWS. I got to wrestle Sabu. It was because of AWS that I got to wrestle Drake Younger. It was because of AWS that I won all those titles. Like it's just it was definitely a staple here in Southern California.
Did you have a favorite wrestling venue in SoCal that you like to be in, or like a place that besides the marketplace? Because I know that's kind of always going to be home. But was there a place that you really enjoyed wrestling?
Man, there was a few, AWS at the time when it was at the first Frankensons. That was
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I love that
That
venue.
that area was pretty cool. Um, Wrestling, of course, at the Grand Olympic Auditorium was great. That was super cool. Just
Was that
like
with was that FCW?
that was FCW and WPW as well.
I didn't know WPW ran there.
Humongous lucha show. Yeah.
Oh man, that's dope. I gotta find video of that.
Man, I wish I had a video of it. It's somewhere. It's definitely out there.
I
But
bet.
it was he had started Perro Aguayo's retirement tour,
Okay.
and you name it, Perro Aguayo, Blue Panther, Santo, like you name it, it was top to bottom.
Working the Grand Olympic again, as sacred as Arena Coliseo is to Lucha Libre, I feel like the Grand Olympic. I know because now it's a church in LA. It doesn't get the same love it should, but at one point that was literally we talked about MSG in New York, but that was the MSG of the West Coast. I mean, it was one of the brightest spots of all
It
pro
was a
wrestling.
perfect place for wrestling. Like
Oh yeah.
it just the structure of it, just the way it was perfect. Like it didn't nothing needed to be changed. It was just a good classic arena.
And it was I got to see an ECW that when ECW came out here, that's where they ran, and I got to see one of the XPW shows. In fact, we left a little bit early, but that was the night that New Jack threw Vic Grimes off the top of the scaffolding. So I didn't see that live. I ended up watching it later. But tell me about wrestling in the Grand Ole, because that's something I didn't know. That's sacred ground.
Yeah, it was cool. Like I think the whole being so young and wrestling there and like just being just getting the opportunity to wrestle there felt so good because I'm like 16 years old, 17 years old, and I'm like, dude, I'm wrestling where Chavo Guerrero Sr. wrestled. I'm
Damn.
wrestling where, Roddy Piper wrestled, like Classy Freddie Blassie, like you name it. Like the best of the best have been in here. And now I'm walking through these halls.
For sure.
It's pretty cool.
Have you seen the documentary that I think it's on Amazon Prime about the Grand Olympic Auditorium?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, check it out, because they go into the boxing, they go into the wrestling, the roller derby, the concerts. That was such a cool venue. You should check it out if you get time.
I will definitely.
But that's such a cool. I never knew you wrestled there, to be honest. And I was,
Super
like
cool.
I like to know my stuff when we start talking, and that's such a cool thing to put on your resume. And speaking of resumes, I mean, like, look, there have been many companies that have started in Southern California to reach, national prominence, and of course, one of them that a lot of people remember very fondly was MTV's Wrestling Society X. And it kind of blended elements of XPW and of course the MTV culture, but they also had a fair amount of like a lucha and just solid tag team wrestling, really. And it was kind of, I think it was well received by the fans, but I think, of course, it was not on the right platform. MTV was never a good venture for pro wrestling. But tell me about your experiences with Wrestling Society X. How did you get involved in? And again, somebody like B-Boy, who you have, either been across the ring from or teamed with many times in the past. What was it like wrestling with him in Wrestling Society X?
It was cool. At the time, it was really cool. We had already been a tag team out here several times before that, so we meshed well from the very beginning. And then hearing the rumors about a big company that was coming to SoCal, and that they had a few openings to see who was going to be able to try to fill those spots, and I threw my name in the hat, and luckily I got chosen. And it was super cool. Super cool experience. Um, I wish it would have lasted longer, honestly. It didn't have the support that it needed. And that was told to us from the very beginning. It was kind of just it was on the chopping block from the very beginning because, I was hearing like, executive after executive after executive fall out of like, we don't really like it next, whatever. And then it literally went down to this one dude, and it was because of this one guy that stayed on the air for that season. And then after that, it was done for.
It's weird when you think about it, because and I don't even think MTV's on the air anymore, but at one point MTV was doing stuff with WCW, then WCW faded away, and then they started doing Sunday Night Heat, the WWE program on MTV, which was like, oh, that seems like a weird place for that. And then they brought in Wrestling Society X, and I was hopeful, man, because I really thought like, okay, they're gonna do like punk rock wrestling. That's what I kind of pictured. Where, and to a degree they did. There was elements of that, but again, standards and practices and everything else. I don't really felt like MTV wanted it to succeed. And
For sure.
and I man, one of the best things about Wrestling Society X was the tag team division, because at the time it was like you and B-Boy, it was Seth Rollins and Jimmy Jacobs. Yeah, it was Joey Ryan and Disco Machine. I mean, there was a really strong tag team division. The Dragon Gate guys. I mean, it was pretty fun, man. And when you think about pro wrestling, I love tag team wrestling. That's probably my second favorite style of wrestling. And they literally were producing so many great tag teams, and to see the stars that were in Wrestling Society X and where they are now, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, Teddy Hart, M-Dog 20.
That's right. I forgot about Teddy.
Yeah, it was cool, and I'm glad that they gave us they did give us a platform to shine. They let us have, a little bit of creative freedom there, which was pretty cool. Um, but yeah, it wasn't designed to last. Honestly, there was never really any support there, and it sucks because it could have been something really cool. It could have been something really cool. The way they were talking about season two and titles and bringing in newer talent, and yeah, it was cool. But said I guess just wasn't time.
Yeah. I had a conversation many years ago with Gabriel Ramirez, Pro Wrestling Revolution up in like
Who is
Sacramento.
that? No, I'm just
Gab-
kidding.
oh,
I know. I'm just kidding.
I name dropped, but I didn't know if you knew or not. And he
Oh, I
told me
know
like
who Gabe is. I know who
this
Gabe is.
this was like I want to say it was like 2010, 2011, maybe even 2012. And he said, Jay, and I was telling him like how cool it's like that the United States is finally like kind of welcome Lucha Libre. He's like, they're not there yet. Like, what do you mean? Like, look what's happening. He's like, nah, it's not there yet. And I don't know. I'm starting to feel like we are there now, but it took so much for us to get there. Like, speaking of MTV, after Wrestling Society X, they had the other project, Lucha Libre USA. And it was a lot of lucha, but I don't think it was ever fundamentally done correctly. And
No.
and they put the emphasis on the wrong characters. I mean, like, look, uh, I can't remember his name right now, but I liked who they had as champion, but like it was very racially motivated, and I felt like that was not a good platform to.
Trying to remember who it was.
Um,
Um, damn, I
he
don't remember. I can't slip my mind, but I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
RJ Brewer or something like that, I think.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he was a good talent, but like again, the racially motivated, I don't think that works. I don't think that's good to put over your product when you're champion. Who I mean, of course he was a heel, but still, like I just don't think that works well in 2000, 2010,
It
2012.
definitely wouldn't work right now. That's for
No,
sure.
not at
Definitely
all.
wouldn't work right now.
And then, of course, I feel like both of those vehicles did pave the way for something that was really revolutionary, which was Lucha Underground, filmed out in Boyle Heights. I was lucky enough to get to a couple of those events, and it was kind of very similar because they were bringing stars from the independents. They were bringing stars from former WWE guys, former TNA guys, but specifically they were bringing a lot of SoCal independent guys. You were there, B Boy was there. Eventually, Joey Ryan showed up. Aaron Aguilera would show up. We got to see Chavo Guerrero there, and I felt like they did a really good job of representing the lucha libre like spirit. And the presentation was completely different, something that I don't think a lot of us wrestling fans were used to. What did you think about Lucha Underground, and tell me about your time working with them?
Life changing. It was life changing. Going from, I thought being on the MTV platform was cool. This was a whole nother level. It was just, at least for me, it took me to a whole nother level. It got me internationally recognized. That was that's cool in itself.
Yeah,
When I hate to go back to WSX, but it was so cool seeing myself like being in a commercial, like right after they would show a commercial for Bam Margera's show at the time.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
they'd be showing their shows was like prime time. They're showing their commercial, then we showed like right after, and it's like that's so cool. Like we're being spotlighted like that, and same thing happened in Lucha Underground. You know, I think when it first went on the El Rey network, it was kind of hard because the network was kind of new,
Yeah.
and a lot of people didn't know about it. But I think after that first season, man, it blew up, and then the deal came in with Netflix and stuff like that, and that just helped even more.
And I mean, I honestly believe Lucha Underground is the reason why AAA became so attractive to the WWE, because seeing like how well received it was in the United States, and seeing that you can blend lucha libre with more American style wrestling, and that's that similar style of episodic soap opera television. I think it blended very well, and they made it look easy. Now, obviously, I mean there was a lot more to it than that, but having John Morrison there, having Taya Valkyrie there, having Brian Cage there, and Willie Mack. It again, so many great talents, yourself included. They even had Blue Demon Jr. on the show, and Vampiro, and all these. Again, the ties to Lucha Libre, as well as being presented to an American audience. I think it just had a great recipe for success. And again, I really feel like that's why AAA today is partially owned by the WWE, because they showed them, hey, this is there is a way to make money here, and there is interest, and if you can figure it out, that's going to be a big platform for you.
Well, from what I know, after season one happened, it was already on the WWE's radar.
For sure.
So, oh yeah, it was already there, and there was talks about certain things happening, but it never flourished. But they was already on the radar, definitely.
So, and obviously, like that's such a high that you probably could have just called it a career right there. You did it. You got to nationally spot wrestling promotions not once but twice. You've had trips to Mexico. You've wrestled all over the country. I mean, you could have probably just said, "Hey, that was a career. Now it's time to move on to the next stage." But you were still very active in the Southern California independent wrestling scene for many years after that. How did that change your career? How did that change your trajectory once you did these big companies, then going back to the independents? How was that the transition for you, and did it obviously I would imagine it helped your career along too.
The cool thing is that, even being under contract with Lucha Underground, we were still able to do certain independence, which was
Yeah.
great. And it helped out. It basically helped out with the business, just being on that national platform. It got us noticed more. It got us noticed. It got me noticed more to where I was allowed to travel a lot more, around the country, been places that, I'd never been to before, and just very blessed and very fortunate. And just took advantage of the opportunities that were given, and it was a great time. Like you said, could have called it after those seasons were done. Honestly, I could have, because my dream match, or my ultimate goal, was completed during that time. When I first started, I had always said to myself, like, if I have the opportunity to wrestle with or against Rey Mysterio, like, that's my ultimate bucket list.
For
Like,
sure.
that, nothing else. I don't need anything else to happen after that. Win, lose, or draw, I wouldn't care. I just wanted to be in the ring with him, and just showed him what I had. And it happened. It was great. It's the best feeling of, one of the best moments of my life. Never forget it. And I thank Lucha Underground for it, because if it wasn't for them, it would have never happened. And what, if it wasn't for Lucha Underground, man, I wouldn't have what I have today. Honestly, all the opportunities that they gave me, to being able to wrestle. My goal going into the company, because I had no idea what it was when we signed. We signed this thing, and it was like, well, what is it going to be like? Because there was rumblings like it's going to be like MTV's thing, and we didn't know how it was going to be shot, and
Right.
nothing like that. And like, I signed, and I'm like, okay, I just signed this contract. Ezekiel Jackson or Big Rick's just signed. I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen with that. Like, John Morrison just signed. Ricochet signed. I'm like, my goals going into this first season, I want to wrestle John Morrison at least once, and Ricochet. Night one, a main event against them, and I'm like, okay, so that's done. Like, okay, that's
Yeah.
bucket list number one.
Check.
So it's like, and being put into that main event opportunity was, it was an opportunity itself. A lot of people don't know this, but they were rewriting episode one all the way up until the day of when we were recording.
Wow.
Something happened to the luchadors with their visas,
Oh.
and Penta, Phoenix, Drago, Aerostar, and I believe King Cuerno couldn't cross that day we filmed day one.
Whoa.
So they switched a lot of the card up,
Yeah.
moving us into the main event spot. And I said, fuck it, let's go. You know what? In my head, I'm like, hey, it ain't my fault that they're not here, but I'm gonna take this opportunity. I'm gonna run with it.
Absolutely.
And they put me in this trios with Big Rick and Ricky Reyes, and we're in the main event spot, the night one.
Yeah.
Like how else? It couldn't get any better. It couldn't get any better.
What was it like? Again, Ricky Reyes was another one of these names that when I started watching the SoCal Indies, I mean, he was everywhere. Him and Rocky Romero as the Havana Pitbulls, and again, they had some success with CMLL too early in their career. But how was it just somebody that you obviously wrestled probably 100 times before through the SoCal independent scene, and then here you are, you guys are being featured in the main event for Lucha Underground. What was that like?
It was kind of like it was a surprise for sure when they notified us that day
Yeah,
that we were going to be involved in the main event. We were just like, we knew we were doing something big, but we didn't know what it was. And then they told us, and it was like cool, we got this. And it wasn't. Honestly, it wasn't a nervous thing. Big Rick had pulled us aside and said, look at you, look at you, look at Ricky, and look at me. We look like we're gonna go out there and fuck some people up, and that's all we got to do. And
sure,
that's all we got to
sure.
do. So, um, he's like, just turn it up, and it's in the bag. We got this. And yeah, man, it's such a cool. You go back and you watch, Ricochet and Puma. They're wrestling in the main event of night one, and we go out there and just stop the match and just beat the shit out of both of them, and pretty
Yeah.
much cemented our footsteps there.
Let's go back a few steps because I mean, like these are highs, of course, of your career. Let's go back to some before you kind of had these opportunities. Obviously working with Epic, Pro Wrestling Epic, the original, working in Rev Pro, your opportunities with Pro Wrestling Gorilla. Uh, who were the opponents that you liked wrestling with, or the guys you liked working with? Who were the people that you liked to share the ring with?
Oh man, there were so many guys I like to share the ring with, especially like the Rev Pro guys. I like being in there with Mr. Excitement, Disco
Of course.
Machine,
Yeah,
um, Joey Ryan at the time. Um, you know, um, so many of the guys. There's some guys that Top Gun Tower. That was pretty cool. Ototaro.
yeah, man.
Um, those guys are pretty cool. The only one match that I didn't get to have ever that I really wanted to happen, whether it would have been at my home at WPW or Rev Pro or wherever it could, never happened, was myself versus Super Dragon.
Oh,
That's the one I wanted.
I
Yeah,
that would have been fire too, because he had such a huge reputation, not just in SoCal, but literally on the independents. And he was the darling, if you will. It was like him and Brian Danielson seemed like to be the two biggest names on the independents, and uh, a lot of people's careers I think were built working with Super Dragon, and
yeah.
I remember famously his match versus Loki at MPW where they just tore the house down, and I don't think I'd ever seen anything like that before that match, obviously, and of course, with Epic and then later PWG, those matches became more the norm. But uh,
I won't forget that MPW match. I'm glad you brought that up. I had met Loki on one of my trips to the East Coast
yeah,
right before that match. So we became cool friends. And I remember I was just trying to get under Super Dragon's skin. And, I had my boys out in the ringside. And I remember that crowd was split. And they were
sure,
chanting East Coast, West Coast, East Coast, West Coast. And I had my boys like chanting for the East Coast because I wanted to get under Super Dragon's skin.
sure.
But, yeah, it was, man. They set the bar pretty high too. Their matches were great. You know, I really do wish I could have had that one on one with him. I think that would have been pretty cool.
Well, for sure, in we're talking to you, and I don't want to make this all about Super Dragon, but a lot of people don't know is that he and Blitzkrieg were training, uh, you know, with Rev Pro back in the day, and they actually had spots in WCW where
Yeah, I remember that.
Super Dragon, like, he didn't stick, but it was pretty cool that, Blitzkrieg was a guy from Southern California, and was able to get, you know into some pretty big spots with WCW, and I really feel like that helped shine a spotlight on what Rev Pro became, and then of course Rev Pro also opened up the eyes for people with Epic, and then later PWG. But it's kind of funny that it was that lucha libre style of wrestling that propelled Super Dragon's career, propelled Blitzkrieg's career, and all that started out here in Southern California. And I think that's pretty awesome when we think about wrestling in general. And of course, there's always going to be the ties to lucha libre because we're in Southern California, we're so close to Mexico. But that blended style of American style wrestling and lucha libre is celebrated out here so wonderfully, and that's something that you got to do a lot of with WPW and AWS and everything else. And I guess in some ways, like, maybe you never got that match with Super Dragon, but it was because of guys like you and B Boy and Super Dragon and the Havana Pitbulls and TJ Perkins. Like, that's why we got the scene that we got, because we had such great talents out here, and you guys paved the way for guys to come behind you, guys like Scorpio Sky and gosh, there's so many other names to throw out there, but it's like literally,
Quicksilver,
yeah, Quicksilver.
Lost.
Absolutely. But you guys paved that way. You made that an option. You made that available, and I think I don't think I'm the only one saying this, but your name should be up there just with those guys too. It's like in SoCal, you guys helped make that scene. You guys paved the way, and for all the guys who've come afterwards, I mean, they owe you a bit of gratitude.
I appreciate that, man. That means a lot. Teach their own. Whoever they want to give their flowers to, they will. Eventually, hopefully, one day I'll get mine. But
Yeah.
it's all good. Like I said, it's just it's been I've had a great. It's gonna be 20 years for me in the business this year,
Wow.
and it's been cool. Had its ups and downs or whatever, but it's been great. It's been great. I've gained so much from this, and you know, it's now it's like my time to give back. It's my time to give back, and that's what I'm doing with my school and my students and stuff. And hopefully, we have another generation or another two generations coming out of this thing to keep the scene going.
And I'm great segue. I was building up to it, and you took us there. House of Lucha, that's your creation, that's your baby, and uh, of course, you guys have the event coming up next Friday, March 27th.
Yes. Yes.
But it's not just a promotion; it's also a school, and you are training the next wave of Southern California talent, the next blended, lucha libre American style wrestlers. How much do you apply in your school that you learned from Gino in WPW?
Everything, everything. Uh, I try to keep it old school lucha with new school psychology in a way.
Yeah, yeah,
It's the way that I have my school is a little bit different. I'm not gonna sit here and tell people like when they come to my class or they come to my school, unlike other schools, they'll be like, I can make you a wrestler in 3 months, or you got a 6 months course and you're gonna be wrestling. I can't tell a person that because I
right.
don't know how fast they learn. Everybody learns at a different pace. But I'm gonna, however long it takes you, I'm gonna get you there. And it's not just here's how to bump and then, kick you to the curb. No, no, no. We're going over everything. How to put matches together, how to cut a promo, how to come up with your character, all the fundamentals, like you name it, we're I'm going over it with you. We're critiquing everything and to make sure that you're ready when you finally get out there.
And I looked at your flyer, and I it was funny because we were talking on TikTok one day. I was live and you jumped into my live, and I didn't know that House of Lucha was you, which I guess is stupid because I should have known. Like your branding's all over it, but I didn't realize it, and I was like, oh shit. Okay, so I dove a little bit into House of Lucha, and I know on the next card, and I'm gonna post it up here so everyone can see it too, because the next show is coming up again. This is your 2 year anniversary, and first of all,
Yes, sir.
awesome looking poster. Uh,
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Jack Cartwheel, I was about to say a friend of mine, not really a friend, but somebody I followed. And it's weird because I have gone to so many NWA shows. I've seen him wrestle in Texas. I've seen him wrestle in Philly. I've seen him wrestle in Mexico. I've never seen him wrestle in Southern California, which is just bonkers to me because I know he was here for a while. But he'll be a part of this event, which I think is really cool because again, he's got that AAA credibility, he's got that WWE ID credibility, but he's just a really good wrestler and a very good entertainer. He's
Yeah,
gonna,
with Jack, man, if you've never seen him in person, this would be the opportunity. Like he's great. He is where he is right now because of all of he drives so hard. He never gives up. He never gives up. And that's where he's at. That's why he's at where he's at right now. Because he's out there busting his ass, you know? And we don't get to see him as often as we should here at home,
yeah.
but luckily for the 2-year anniversary, I was able to lock him in.
And also on the card, El Mariachi. I see my boy Mikey O'Shea's on the card. Honest John. I mean, you've got I said El Mariachi. Excuse me, Mariachi Loco. My bad, misspoke.
Well, that's okay.
You've got a pretty solid roster there, and then and I hope I'm saying her name correctly, Zaria.
Zyra, yeah, she's our
Zaira.
House of Lucha champion. Yeah,
First of all, good lord, she's a good looking woman. Second of all, she kicks some ass too. And and
yeah.
and you and you've tested her because like you brought in freaking Thunder Rosa to your show to test Zyra and man, that's I mean I think the world of Thunder Rosa again, former NWA Women's Champion, and that's my background NWA, so I keep going there. But she's somebody who we've all got to watch kind of grow up in wrestling too, because she started late, but she took to it very quickly and really had made a name for herself, not just on the independents, not just with the NWA, but now in AEW and how she took AEW by storm a few years ago. And it was cool to know that she was working with you guys for a short time too. Uh, but just being able to test your class, your students, your promotion against some of the best in the world, I think that is really incredible. Tell me some more about your students and tell me about, of course, I want to know about more about Zyra too.
Zyra, she's been around with us for almost 2 years now, and she's been one of the major heels, a part of the company. Yeah, she had been out with an injury and she had tore her ACL, but
Oh
even with
shit.
the torn ACL, she was still like getting involved, sticking her nose where she doesn't belong, and she's one of our top heels in the company, and she's had some pretty big opportunities with us, and this coming up show. She's going to be involved in what we call a mayhem match, and it's a 6-person scramble,
Okay.
but it's just literally anything goes. Last year's mayhem match, everybody who was in last year's match, if you haven't seen the video, I'll send it to you. But all the opponents that were in last year, they set the bar so high. Like I'm talking, there was broken doors, there was skewers, there
Oh no.
was somebody dove off the roof of the building.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like it's when they say mayhem, it's mayhem. So there's a new group, there's a new 6-pack of people in that match. Zyra's in the match, Jack Cartwheel's in the match. Another SoCal guy, Big Dick Haas is in the match.
Yeah, familiar with
One of
him.
my students, by the name of Zombie Six, who's up and coming, he's
Okay.
in that match as well. Um, can't forget Big Meat. Big Meat is a part of that. He's another one of my students.
Okay.
If you haven't heard the name Big Meat yet, stay on the lookout because this kid's gonna be huge. He is gonna be huge. He's been traveling up and down California as it is. He's traveling a lot up to Northern California, wrestling up for Oasis Pro and like like Juicy Finale's company and Journey Fatu. He's been wrestling for them and stuff like that, and he's out and about. But I guarantee you're going to hear the name Big Meat a lot for sure.
So Big Meat and I'm sorry, what was the first guy's name that you mentioned?
So it's Zyra, Jack Cartwheel, Zombie,
Zombie. That's who
Big
I wanted.
Big Big Meat, Big Dick Hoss, and then we have a mystery opponent who,
Oh,
man, yeah, last year's mystery opponent was Jack Cartwheel. So this year's mystery opponent, man, you never know who's going to show up.
well, I'm going to be honest with you. My Fridays aren't usually available, but I'm trying to get out there because I know this event looks good, and I don't live in Orange County anymore, but I'm willing to make the drive because I feel like this is a very good event, and I mean, like, besides Honest John, you've got Chris Nasty on the roster. It's really for again, I don't know much about the promotion, so I'm still kind of learning, but you've got some really good talented people working there, and then of course, I have a lot of faith in you to help train some of the next up and comers because again, you've done it. Your students can look at you and be like, holy shit, man, my coach did this, this, and this. And again, part of that whole SoCal scene back in the day, I'm sure like that road that you've paved for the next class, you're literally coaching them. So I really feel like this is going to be a good event. So anybody who is in Southern California should definitely check this out. And then do you post the events online or can people watch them through YouTube
Yeah,
or
we usually post them up after. Excuse me. We usually post them after our events on our YouTube channel. So you go to our YouTube channel on it's just House of Lucha on YouTube, and you'll be able to find a lot of the past events that are on there. Um, but yeah, no, like you were saying, as far as like the new class or whatever, it's like um, sometimes I think my students forget who's teaching them, and they kind of forget what I've done.
yeah.
So you gotta remind them sometimes, but for the most part, this new class that I have, like I, and I'm not saying because they're my people, but it's like they're gonna be something. They all have something special, and this is like not only from the class that is like it's already been out there, like a Mike Check or an Eddie Vice, Big Meat, Zombie Six, the new class that's out there. I have a new kid that's name's Rayo de Oro, who's gonna be something special. Jay Jaguar, this kid named Obsidian, a monster. When I mean monster, by the name of Buckshot. When you see this guy, you're gonna be like, "What am I looking at?" Like he's just a monster. Um, Mr. Desmadre. It's you name like this class is gonna be super cool. They're very like original characters, and it's like they're gonna be something special on the scene for sure. They just need a little bit of time to polish, but two of them last show was on my pre-show, and I heard nothing but great comments after the show. They couldn't believe it was their first match. They said it looked like they'd been wrestling for a long time.
That's
So yeah, humongous compliment, and like it means a lot. So they're really trying hard, and that's all I can really ask for.
absolutely. Well, again, I want to thank you again, not just for the hour that you've given me today, but your contributions to the Southern California wrestling scene as somebody who was a fan and somebody who was writing about that stuff on SoCal Uncensored. It's so cool to not only know that the next generation is happening underneath your watch, but also just to say thanks for giving me so much happy memories and good times watching pro wrestling and lucha libre here in Southern California. So all my respects, man, and thank you so much for everything that you've done and are continuing to do for the SoCal wrestling scene. Because, man, without people like you, man, we're gonna go back to just the Stone Ages in pro wrestling, and I think that's not what we want at all. And I feel like the scene is more vibrant right now than it's been in a while, and it got stagnant there for a bit, and I feel like we're starting to see some more flashes of brilliance like we had in the past, and again, I'm looking forward to House of Lucha, and if by chance I can't make it to this show, which I'm really trying to, if not, I will definitely be at a show sometime in the near future because it looks like a good product, and I want to support good products.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, like I said, if you can't come out to the anniversary show, our next show will be we do monthly shows. All of our information is on the House of Lucha Instagram page or my Instagram page. But our next show will be April 24th. If you can make it, we have legendary luchador himself, Chavo Guerrero Jr. on the show. So, man, I cannot wait to announce his match. First time ever match in Southern California. Never happened before. Probably never happen again. I cannot wait to announce that match.
April 24th, you say, huh?
Yes, sir.
Right now. Where am I going to be on April 24th? I think I might be in Stanton. Yeah, it looks like I'm free. All right, man. Well, I guess I know what I'm doing on April 24th. But I appreciate you, Lil Cholo. Thank you so much for everything. And
no problem, man.
Best of luck to you. Not just this Friday, but next Friday, but April 24th and everything after as well.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time and have a good one.
Thanks, bro.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Lil Cholo, let me know what you think. Sound off in the comments. And until next time, we'll see you at the matches. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog.